5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get talking. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk with Carl E. Long, episode 66. How's everybody doing today? Hope you're doing wonderful. Today is Saturday, and it's going to be a great day. Saturday, August 22nd. Yes, August 22nd. August 22nd. So, I'm here with another episode of Let's Talk with Carl E. Long, and I am Carl E. Long. So, guys, episode 66. Episode 66 is going to be a difficult one, I think. Difficult because I've been sitting around listening to TV. I watch a lot of news, guys. Y'all know that already. I watch a lot of news. I read a lot of news. I just keep up with what's going on in my country because after the 24 election and Donald Trump was put back in there, I knew this was going to be a ride. Y'all can say all you want to, but this man is destroying our country, destroying it. And I have made it my quest to sit and talk to people to try to get us on one accord so that we can take back the control of our country together. And my goal is not to divide us. My goal is not to make people feel small. My goal is to let's talk. Guys, let's talk. It is too much that we have that is alike. We all want the same things in this country. We want great schools, great churches, great homes. We want to be successful. We want to make money. We want to raise our family. We all want the same thing. But we're so busy fighting. That we don't know what is real and what is not. And I just want us to really start talking. Guys, we are at a point where right now, there are people showing up lynched in Mississippi. Why is it happening? Why is that happening in 2026? We can't explain this. People are dying. We have a war we shouldn't be in. There's all sorts of things. The economy is in the gutter. And I sit and I watch strategists decide, well, the voters think this and the voters think that. The voters need to start speaking up, and that is you and me. You and me, they're strategizing. They're going to make you let you hear and see what they think you want to see, but you need to see what is truth and you need to see what you really want and quit letting everybody else make decisions for us as the American people. Politicians are there for a reason, but politicians can be quirky. They want to win. They're going to spin everything just to sign. It's this whole socialist versus capitalist thing going on. It's a lot. It is a lot. And we have to be smart enough to see who is benefiting from all this. Who is benefiting from all this? So, the name of this episode is When Americans Can't Agree on the Truth. What happens when Americans can't agree on the truth? Who benefits when Americans can't agree on the truth? Episode 66. Let's talk with Carl E. Long. Let's get to talking, guys, because this is getting crazy. So, this is where we discuss real topics. I want us to have real conversations and hopefully create real impact. Today, I want to ask the question, who benefits, again, when Americans can no longer agree on the truth? We have always had political disagreements in this country. Yes, we disagreed about taxes. We disagree about healthcare, education, immigration, race. Yes, race, religion, foreign policy, and the proper role of government. Disagreement is not necessarily bad. Disagreement can be good. It's a part of democracy. It forces us to listen to one another, defend our position. Yes, you're going to defend yours. I'm going to defend mine. Reconsider assumptions, and sometimes find common ground. But what we are experiencing today feels different. I've never felt this way before in my life about something so polarizing in this country. And I sit at home and it just worries me. I was like, everybody, my friends say, quit worrying. I said, how can I? Our country is going to hell in a handbasket. Why should I sit back and not do anything? We aren't just disagreeing about what should be done. We are increasingly unable to agree on what actually happened. What happened to the truth, guys? I mean, we got one group that watches television on one network and follows a certain kind of collection of social media and receives one version of reality. That could kill you. And we know what I'm talking about. I'm sitting there thinking, how could these people on the MAGA spectrum know any different when you go out there and you listen to what they're getting fed? I mean, and I guess you could say the same thing about us on CNN, but or wherever else we are, but the MAGA spectrum, I'm sorry, they're getting fed lies. Lots of lies. Lots of them. I mean, and other groups will follow completely different sources and receive entirely different version. And then there's people like me who research. I mean, the facts people accept often depend on which political party they support. Which personalities do you trust? And which algorithm controls the social media feed? Now, that algorithm thing can get you guys. You may think that the whole world is going crazy, but the algorithm will put you in a space where you think, what the hell is going on? I know that because I do a lot of politics. I talk politics. I have a podcast that's politics. I look at a lot of political ads. I go to political sites. That a lot of my algorithm is political. And the algorithm knows that I'm heavily liberal. And it gives me things that makes me think, what is going on? Us, all these allies and people fighting for the cause. So I'm thinking, what is going on in the other algorithm? What are they getting? What are they getting? They're probably getting that we're ready to destroy them. We're going to take their children. We're going to put trans people all in sports, and they're going to take over the world. I'm telling you, social media will mess up your mind. But you have to be smart enough to discern the truth. So when millions of Americans are living in separate information worlds, meaningful conversation becomes almost impossible. I go out here and I do these podcasts and I get some of the most hateful comments I've ever seen in my life. Hateful. And I'm going, wow, I was asking a question. I wanted to talk with you. I didn't want you to call me this name. I didn't need the expletive. I didn't need it. Can we just talk? So today I want us to look beyond the arguments and ask a deeper question. Is all this division happening naturally? Or are some people deliberately encouraging it because they benefit from keeping us angry, suspicious, and divided? So, first of all, disagreement is not the enemy. Let me begin by making something clear. People have the right to disagree with me. They have the right to disagree with you, and supporting a different political candidate does not automatically make someone ignorant, hateful, or un-American. Okay, so I'm going to pause right here. That I somewhat agree with that, but some of the far right thing is very hateful. It's very hateful. And so I'm just saying, some political parties are doing that. And I'm going to say, and you might say it's the far left, but I don't know that the far left is putting as much hate as the far right. But either way, when you're that far away from reality, you're causing disruption in this country. All right. So here we know Democrats do not have a monopoly on compassion. Republicans are compassionate, I'm sure. Republicans do not have a monopoly on patriotism. We fly the flag too, Republicans. We are patriotic. We love our country. We love the men that fight in the wars. Liberals can be wrong. Conservatives can be wrong. Independents can be wrong. And yes, Carl E. Long can be wrong. Yes, none of us know everything. The problem begins when a disagreement turns into dehumanization. It begins when we stop seeing our neighbors as people and start only seeing them as members of an imposing political team. And it's very hard. Sometimes when I'm looking at some of the shows, the pundits, and I'm listening to the Republicans speak, and I'm going, how can I like this guy? How can I like this guy when he says this? How can I like this guy when he is totally just off? He's totally not where I am. It's hard for me to really understand an opposing team and to understand and try to like them. That's hard. I get that. It's hard. So I can see where it could be hard on the other side too. But this begins when every person who questions us is labeled an enemy, a traitor, a racist, a communist, a fascist, or some other designed to end the conversation. I mean, labels can prevent us from doing the harder work of just listening. And once we stop listening, y'all, we become easier to manipulate. You can't stay over there and you're far right and you're far left. You got to come to the center for a minute. I don't mean the moderate center, the voting center. That's a whole nother podcast. And, I have a thing against moderates and people, they can't make up their mind. That's lukewarm to me. Go to your Bible and talk about that. Lukewarm. All right. So we've got to start listening to one another. And everybody, I'm not doing this podcast, like I said, to make division. I'm doing this podcast because I'm trying to talk to people. It's so much disinformation out there about who we are as people, And because I'm a black man that does a podcast and I'm a liberal, they automatically want to make it sound like that, you're like this because all you black people you don't get jobs, you're on welfare, you do this, you're fighting, you're stealing, you're looting. That's not all of us, guys. Now, come on. It's not all of us. If you saw that, how are you going to paint a whole picture like that? You've done all those things too. Have you seen Jerry Springer? I mean, y'all are not clean as the risen snow. So quit trying to paint other races like that. That's what I'm trying to get these people to understand. I mean, the Jim Crow South and segregation, all of our history has compacted us to this point now where we have got to start talking to one another or this country will never go forward. We never go forward. Thank God that younger people don't have all this baggage. We got to just keep all of us older ones from passing it on. They're starting to break a lot of this, which is good. But it's still there, guys. It's still there because the mamas and the papas and the grandparents instill putting this stuff in everybody's head. We can do better. So, as I said, we are not all receiving the same information. There was a time when most Americans received all the information from 4 channels. ABC, NBC, CBS, Independent, maybe 4, yeah. Then you had like a UHF channel, Channel 39, I'll put that there. I mean, those institutions we had like a small number of newspapers. We had relatively only a few radio stations, and news was we got all the same stuff. Now, those institutions were never perfect. They made mistakes. But when they made a mistake, it was a big old deal, and they had to come back and they had to retract it. Those institutions never were perfect. They were biases. They had biases. They sometimes ignored stories involving minority communities, yes, and working class Americans. But today, the information environment is completely different. We have hundreds of cable programs, podcasts, websites, YouTube channels, TikTok accounts, Facebook. Facebook is a mess. And online personalities competing for our attention. You know what? I love this age of being able to go and find anything to watch TV. You can never be bored. There's something on TV. You can find it somewhere. You can find it somewhere on streaming or whatever. I love that. But we have just let this get. I knew when the internet came along, it was going to be out of control. And it is. The World Wide Web has destroyed us, guys. It has destroyed our thinking. It has destroyed our ability to be human. And it has made us so that we can say anything we want to say and stand behind that First Amendment. But that doesn't mean everything we say is good. So we gotta find a way to get back to each other. I mean, those are good things because all these different stations, things are good because uh, more people have opportunity to speak. I love that I can speak right now. Voices that were once excluded can finally be heard. You listening to me, right? But it also creates an enormous problem. Anybody can publish anything. Anybody can edit a video. Anybody can move a statement from its original context. Anybody can take an old photograph and claim it was taken yesterday. Artificial intelligence is here, guys, and can now produce convincing images. Although I can always tell an AI created something. It just looks funky. I can see it. It just looks funky. I mean, they can create convincing voices, convincing images, and that appear real. Yeah, there's some real ones out there too. And false information can travel around the country before responsible journalists have enough time to investigate it. And we have to keep our in the street, on the beat journalists in play because we have got to fact check. We have got to get truth. Journalists are still operating that way. Thank God. Legitimate journalists. And you could say, Carl, what is a legitimate journalist? Well, one that still follows the whole creed of being a journalist. Truth, honor, integrity, facts. If it's opinion, you state its opinion. We have a few of those still left. But some out there are pushing the needle. They're pushing the needle. And you know who you are. You know who you are. Okay. So the result is that many people no longer ask, is this true? Instead, they ask, does this agree with what I already believe? That's not critical thinking, guys. That is confirmation. You got to think for yourself. You got to research for yourself. Right. You got to know the truth. And you got to quit putting all the stuff on people without having any facts. If I'm going to call somebody out about something they said, I'm going to go and research it first. I'm not going to go out there and just say something. Nothing's worse than a retraction. Nothing worse than having egg on your face. Why would you? But you can't just go willy-nilly saying stuff that's not true. You can't do it. So anger has become a business model, believe it or not. It has become a business model. We have to understand how the online community works. I mean, social media companies compete for our attention. The longer we remain on a platform, the more advertisements we see and the more information the company learns about you, us. Calm explanations do not always keep people watching. Outrage does. Fear does. How many of you look at crazy videos? I look at fights. I like to watch fights. And it's crazy. They're out there, but my algorithm got stuck with them and I just look at them. Everybody has a guilty pleasure. That's mine. I like to look at people fighting. It's ridiculous. And yes, there are more than just black people fighting. Person in my comment, do you know who you are? It's a bunch of white folks fighting too. Everybody's fighting. I was like, oh, everybody's just mad. I got to go and listen to Oprah Winfrey has a podcast out this month. It goes that everybody is angry. People are so angry these days. And I got to go listen to what she has to say about that. She has some experts on there that's going to talk about some things. But I'll report back after I've listened to that podcast of Oprah that she's doing. So, outrage. Outrage, guys, is what sells. Fear does too. Conflict does. A headline that says this issue is complicated and reasonable people disagree may not receive as much attention if a headline says they are coming for you, immediately creates an emotional reaction. So you see the difference there? I mean, that reaction may cause us to click, comment, share, or return for more. I know a good comment. That's why it's so important. As a social media creator, I'm also an influencer. That tagline, that get you line is so important. We want to catch you. That's the way it works. I mean, the system learns what makes us angry, continues feeding it to us. Like, it knows I get angry seeing all of this racist stuff. I hate racism. I hate people that are racist. I do not like it. So it feeds them to me just so that I can get all, and then I'm out here doing a podcast on it. It feeds it to me. And I'm saying that I'm falling for it, but I'm falling for it in a good way, because even though those videos may not be the picture of the entire country, but there are people out there that are still like that, guys. And that scares me. And it may not be the majority, but it's a lot. It's enough to cause havoc in this country. So if a certain political video upsets you, the algorithm may show you 10 more just like it. Yes, it does. Before long, it's going to look like the entire country is gone crazy by that one issue. But keep remembering, that's the algorithm. I'm speaking a lot to my older social media people, because y'all get on Facebook. I'm talking about people my age and older. I'm the exception to the rule. I have learned this technology, and a lot of the young kids said, Mr. Carl, how do you know all this stuff? I said, because I didn't want to be left behind. I've always been a gadget person. I know stuff. But all of us older people, y'all will believe anything that comes on Facebook. Y'all just believe it. Facebook is not filtering nothing, guys. You got to fact check. You can't just buy everything either. You got to look. Before I buy anything on a Facebook ad, I ask ChatGPT, has there been anything bad on this account? Or any BBB reports? Has anybody... Check it out. Don't just click and expect you're going to get it. People are scamming. People are doing everything. You know, your attention will become somebody else's income if you're not paying attention. Pay attention. Your anger will become somebody else's engagement. Your fear will become somebody else's power. That does not mean every news organization or online creator is intentionally lying. We're not lying. There's some good ones out there. But it does mean that the system often rewards the loudest, most frightening, and most divisive version of a story. Because it gets clicks. It gets hits. I can throw an ad on there now. Everybody's looking at this fight video, Carl. I'm going to put an ad on it. Make some money. So, guys, that's what I'm saying. We have to think. We cannot be manipulated by what's going on. All this technology is great. I love it. I love that we have ChatGPT. I love that we have AI. I love all that. But you got to be responsible, and you can't let it bypass you, overwhelm you, or take you into a place where you just don't know who you are anymore. Okay? So who benefits from our division? Who? Politicians can, for sure. They're out there strategizing right now. How you going to vote? If a politician can convince voters that the other side is an existential threat, that politician may never have to explain why healthcare is unaffordable, why housing is out of reach, and why wages are not keeping pace with basic expenses. Media companies can benefit, you know. And guys, there are some good politicians out there. I don't want to paint all politicians as bad, but they have a job to do. They want your vote. You got to fact check everything. You got to understand. They might be telling you a part truth just to make it sound good. You got to read the whole thing. Find out for yourself. I wish I could do a course on all the older people that, let's have a course on what's true and what's not true. Give them some fake stuff and some real stuff and see if they can figure it out. See if they can go and find the resources and figure it out, because they need it. They need it. So things like why housing is out of reach, or why wages are not keeping pace with basic expenses. And I said media companies can benefit because conflict attracts viewers, right? Viewers increase ratings, clicks, subscriptions, and advertising revenue. Yes, it does. Social media influence can benefit. I know that. The more outrageous the claim, the more likely it is to go viral. And I'm saying I'm guilty of that. as well because I was trying to get my follower count up a little bit, guys. And so I click. I know that MAGA comes to me crazy. And I'm not trying to aggravate them. But when I was doing my little clips or whatever, I said, they are really coming through here. Because as many people that hate you, you get as many people that like you as well. So I was like, I need some more allies. So I started posting a lot more clips. And then it pushed my follower count up because people were out there engaging without me back and forth over issues. It's a good thing because it's healthy conversation. So I created a firestorm by putting my thoughts out there. Of course, I had people that agreed with me because I was telling the truth. I wasn't lying. And then you had people that hated me and called me a monkey. Okay? So you had this thing going on, and then pretty much they weren't talking to me anymore. They were talking to each other. And then in the interim of all of that, all the people that were in my corner started going, brother, you speaking well. You know what you're talking about. You're right. You're right. You're right. I'm going to follow you. Click. So you see what I'm saying? I mean, but the more outrageous the claim, the more likely it is to go viral. And I don't think anything I said is outrageous. I'm just thinking it's truth, but it may be outrageous to another group. I'm speaking truth. But MAGA's out here trying to tell me, they're trying to tell me that Irish Americans had exactly the same experience as slavery. Black American. Come again? That one right there caused a lot of, I got thousands of comments about them trying to convince me. Are you serious? So, of course, I got a lot of allies that came in and trying to say, are you serious? And mostly black. You're trying to tell me that you think Irish Americans had the same experience as chattel slavery? Yep. It happens, guys. I'm just giving you some examples. So, special interests also can benefit. While ordinary Americans are arguing over cultural controversies, powerful organizations can quietly pursue tax advantages, government contracts, deregulation, or policies that increase their influence. Foreign adversaries can also benefit. A divided America is a distracted America. Because a lot of this stuff may be being fed to us by China or by Russia just to get us fighting with each other. If Americans lose faith in one another, in every public institution, the country becomes weaker without an enemy having to fire a single shot. God, I'm talking foreign countries. They do that on purpose. They want us fighting with each other, especially during an election. Even political parties benefit from division. Angry voters are going to donate money. You get mad enough, you're going to give some money. Frightened voters show up. Yep. And loyal voters are less likely to hold their own side accountable. That last point is important because that's MAGA and the loyalty thing that Donald Trump has going on. If this man has got it so that these people are so afraid to talk back to him or to tell him the truth that they're letting this country go. I'm talking to all the people in Congress. I'm talking to anybody that's around him. I'm talking to pundit. All of y'all are guilty of making everything this man do, knowing that it's wrong. Donald Trump has not been good for America. I don't care what you say. Nobody's going to change my mind about that. All of you that are standing in the gap for him, for everything that he's doing wrong, you are wrong. You're wrong. And one day you'll figure that out. You're going to figure that out because y'all have helped put us here. Everyone that has placated Donald Trump, allowed and tried to fight and tell us that what he did was good with the war or the terror. No, you're wrong and you're on the wrong side of history. So you have to deal with what comes for you. All right. So if politics becomes nothing more than team loyalty, we are beginning excusing behavior from our own side that we would condemn immediately if the other side did it. Every time something comes up that Donald Trump goes, we'll say, now if Barack did that, what would y'all say? Uber silence. And they know they wouldn't allow Barack to do it. But they sit there and they let Donald Trump get away with murder. I'm talking about his loyalist. January 6th. I'm going to show y'all that video at the end of the thing because it needs to be on top of our mind. Loyalists. People are going around saying that that was a peaceful protest, and some people got wrapped up. I'm sure there were some people walking around there that loved Donald Trump, truly didn't trying to do anything with the Capitol, but was out there marching with their First Amendment right, and they got caught up in that thing. I know that there were probably some people like that, and they probably were, and they got in trouble, and they may have gotten some, caught up in the fire. But there was a group of people there that had that in mind, that they were going to do what they were going to do, and they did it. We saw it on TV. Oh, y'all think we're crazy? We saw it on TV. And for y'all to, and then he pardons all of them? What is going on? That's what I'm saying, guys. This loyalty thing of Donald Trump, this is crazy. This is what's ruining our country. Because all these loyalists are too afraid to tell Donald Trump the truth. Donald Trump is a strange character, guys. He thrives on compliments. And I've never seen anybody like this. I've never seen a person like this in my life. And everybody just knows how he is, and they just do what he needs to do to make him happy. He's not a freaking king. I don't care. This country is all of ours, Donald, and there are checks and balances to keep you in your place. You're the president, yes. Respect the office. But I don't respect what you're doing. I don't. All right. So if you're on the side of Republican or Democrat and they do something wrong, call it out. Call it out. I don't care how loyal you are to your party. I will call it out. Eric Swalwell, I called it out. Brother, I was proud of that guy for a little bit. But when I found out he did all this crappy stuff, he needs to go. Totally. He has some problems. Go to some therapy. Go get some therapy and then come back. Forgiveness is yours. You can be forgiven, but you don't need to be running for anything. Okay. So, division, guys, distracts us from our shared problems while we are fighting one another. What is happening in our communities? Families are worried about the cost of groceries. Our senior citizens are concerned about health care, prescriptions, medications, and Social Security. Young adults wonder if they'll be able to purchase anything like a home. They're not even doing that. Kids don't even buy cars anymore. Parents are concerned about the quality and safety of their children's schools. Small business owners are trying to survive. Caregivers are exhausted. Workers are juggling multiple jobs, still struggling to get ahead. These are problems of what we all affect. They affect all of us, Democrats, Republicans, Independent. A medical bill doesn't ask you how you voted. You got to pay it. The grocery store resident doesn't care which political party you support. And your landlord does not reduce your rent because your candidate won. So, when a factory closes, an entire community can suffer regardless of party affiliation, guys. Yet instead of organizing around our shared economic and community concerns, we are encouraged to remain suspicious of one another. Black against white. Tired of that. Urban against rural. Tired of that. Christian against non-Christian. Immigrant against native-born citizens. Younger generations against older generations. Working class people against working class people. We are constantly being told whom to blame. But we're not always encouraged to follow the money, examine the policy, or to ask who possesses the actual power to change the situation. Who do we ask? It's us. It's us. When we do the right thing and we get the right people in place, we have the power in this country. Still, even though it's trying to be usurped by certain people, we still have the power. The people. We ultimately have the power. So, why information works? It would be comforting to believe that only uneducated or intelligent people fall for misinformation. but that's not all true, guys. It's not all true. I mean, everybody's vulnerable to it. Everybody. I mean, I actually ordered something online and Facebook after just telling you what not to do. I trusted it. Never got the stuff. I said, why did I do that? I became vulnerable. It looked exciting. I let my guards down and I got taken and I never got no product ever. I don't know where my money went. You know, we're more likely to believe information that confirms what we already think. You know, and we are more likely to trust information shared by a friend, a family member, pastor, celebrity, or political leader whom we respect. We're also more vulnerable when we are frightened, angry, or uncertain. Misinformation frequently succeeds because it contains a small amount of truth wrapped inside a misleading conclusion. So that's kind of what's going on with the punditry right now. And I think that it happens, I'm going to say the word I hate to say, on both sides, but not really though. It happens more on the right. The right would take something and make it out of context a lot more to me, than the left. I mean, they just like, that's not true. Why would y'all say that? That's not true. It's not true. But you're talking about something that happened here, and that's not the whole story. That's not true. So things can be misleading too. Sometimes the individual facts are accurate, but the important context has been removed, which makes it sound like exactly a whole different thing. Sometimes a video is real, but it's old. Sometimes a statistic is legitimate, but it's presented without explaining what was actually measured. Yeah, that happens a lot with polls. What was actually measured? How many people did they actually talk to? 20? You can't tell me something that 20 people said is going to mean the whole world. And sometimes a completely false claim is repeated so often that it begins to feel familiar. Familiarity is not evidence, guys. Repetition is not proof. Popularity is not truth. A post receiving 1 million views does not make it accurate. I'm going to go off politics and talk about a post that just really drives me crazy. My favorite entertainer is Diana Ross. And I get so upset when I see the young people say, my mother says that she's not a nice person and she slept all the way up to Motown. I mean, all this stuff is just stuff that they have said about Diana Ross for years and years and years and years and years. And most of it is not true. It's not true. I want you to read her autobiography, read some. But the fact that this lie is still going on and she still has to deal with this lie that she threw Florence out of the group and the whole bit of the Supremes and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, it's not true. It's not true because I did the research. You can read other books. I mean, Diana Ross got some preferential treatment, yes, and things like that. But truth matters. I don't want to go on that tangent. It's going to be a whole podcast by itself. But that's just an example of how something that is repetitive so much can feel like it's the truth when it's not. It only means that 1 million people saw it. All right, so the human cost of living in different realities is important. I mean, this information crisis is doing more than influencing elections. It's affecting our relationships. I mean, families are avoiding political conversation because they fear an argument. I don't like to bring up politics. I'm in Texas, all right, Dallas. I don't like to bring up politics around my white friends, my brothers, because I know that because we live in a red state, they're more than likely are Trump supporters, and I don't want to know that. They may not be, but just because they could be is more likely that they are, which I don't understand why, then I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that you voted for him. I can't hear it. I don't want to hear it because it affects me. So, families are avoiding political conversations because they fear an argument. Longtime friends are ending over social media posts, and church members are questioning one another's faith based on political preference. And that's true. Because some of the stuff that's going on with the Christian national thing, it makes you question everything, guys. I mean, we, the people, are becoming afraid to speak honestly because they expect us to be, we expect to be attacked. I mean, we're losing our ability to say, I disagree with you, but I still respect you, or I support that person, but I believe that you're wrong. You know, I mean, that's going to be hard. It's like, okay, I don't agree with that, but you have the right to believe as one. I'm going to tell you what I believe, and this is how I got to this conclusion. You know, I'm going to do that. Or even I believe something that turned out not to be true. Those should be signs of weakness. They are signs of maturity as well. So, when you're able to change your position after receiving better evidence, it's not hypocrisy, it is growth. If I am wrong about something, I'm going to say, okay, I was wrong about that. I was wrong about that. And I want to know that I'm wrong about it. I do. So how do we protect ourselves? So what can an ordinary person like you and me do? Protect ourselves. First, we got to slow down. Before sharing something that makes you angry, stop and ask why it produced such a strong emotional response. Sometimes, guys, I have to type it out how I'm feeling. I'm typing, I'm mad. And then I go, I can't say that. Let's try to do something that we can talk constructively with someone and see if we can get some real conversation out of it. Because the emotional response is the one that's going to be the most polarizing. It's going to keep you right there in conflict with your brother or sister that you're talking to. All right. I mean, what's the content? Another question you ask yourself: was the content designed to inform you, or was it designed to provoke you? And then second, you got to investigate the original source. Do not rely on a screenshot, main commentary clip, or someone else's description. Look for the full speech, complete interview, the official report, the court decision, legislation, or official data set. And third, compare multiple credible sources. Do not depend entirely on one television network, not one podcast, not one political party, or one social media personality, including myself. Because my responsibility is to give you information, to give you perspective and questions worth considering. You know. Now, your responsibility, because I'm dealing in a factual podcast kind of situation, is to examine the information, examine the evidence, find out if it's true, and make your own informed conclusion. And also, separate facts from opinion. I do a lot of opinions here. A fact can be checked. An opinion expresses what someone believes about that fact. The two are not the same, guys. And fifth, be willing to correct yourself. If you share something that turns out to be false, remove it and tell people why. There should be no shame in correcting an honest mistake. I had an honest mistake on one of my entertainment podcast videos where I said that Lucille Ball had won an Emmy Award for a particular movie called Stone Pillow, and she didn't. And I was like mortified. I said, darn it, she was nominated, but she did not win. Why didn't I know that? And I usually know that, but I'd assumed that she'd won because I had it stuck in my head that she'd won, but she didn't. So I went back there and ate crow because people were coming at me and said, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. You're right. You're all correct. She did not win for that movie. That was a significant movie because Lucy had, after Mame, Lucy had said that she was never going to do another movie after they gave her such bad reviews. And then she came back and she did this TV movie. And I was trying to make a point that she was gone that long time. And she came back and she won an Emmy. And she didn't win. She got nominated, which was still a great feat. Okay. The shame would be is discovering that something is false and continuing to spread it. I would never do that because it helps your political side. I would never do that. And sixth, talk to real people, not just online person. Talk to neighbors, teachers, business owners. Seniors, healthcare people, people whose experiences are different from yours. Social media can tell us what is trending. Real conversations tell us what people are living through. Yeah. I'm telling you guys, when you get out there in the real world and find things out, that can be scary. Yeah. When I get out here and I start talking to young voters and I find that they're not even engaged in voting, that's a scary thing. And then they tell me what they think about Trump and they like him. That's a real scary thing. You don't even know anything about him. Why would you say that? You know, but that's real. It's happening. So the goal of me talking and doing these kinds of podcasts that I've been doing over the few weeks is I'm trying to get us to a level where we can start talking to one another and not relying on and using social media responsibly and understanding what's truth and just learning how to talk to one another, guys. Yeah. So here's a challenge I have to political leaders and the media. I also have challenge for political leaders. Stop treating the American people like emotional buttons to be pushed. Tell us what you intend to do. Explain how much it would cost. Tell us who will benefit. Tell us who may be harmed. Tell us how you will measure whether the policies succeed. And the answer should be truthful. Answer difficult questions without attacking the person who asked them. I'm so tired of them strategizing us and telling us what they think they want us to know or telling us lies. Tell us the freaking truth. Tell us the truth. Have a challenge for the media. Give us context, not just conflict. I was just watching an interview with the young lady that just won the primary in Florida, an African American woman that won primary for senator for U.S. Senate in Florida, and she's a socialist. The media want to talk about that. She's trying to talk about other stuff, but they want to get her stuck into a thing that says that she's going to go against the regime. That's the media talking point. That's what they want to get, so they're attacking her right there. Right. We don't just need conflict, media. We need context. Correct mistakes are prominently as you report the original claim. Stop turning every issue into a political boxing match. I love the Abby Phillips show because we get to sit there and we talk to each other. And the goal of that show is made to do that. It's to put people in the same room and to talk things out. That's what that's for. But everyday news cycle, we don't need that all over the place. Leave that in a special platform that it's in. And it works. Stop turning every issue into a political boxing match. Media, I'm saying it again. Stop turning every issue into a political boxing match. Invite informed people who can explain complicated subjects, not simply personalities generate the loudest arguments. The American people, that's us, we deserve information to help us make decisions, not programming designed only to keep us angry until the next commercial break. That's what y'all are doing. And I know you got to sell ads and whatever else, but that's not what we need, media. So now the section here is when the government distorts the truth. This one here is the scariest of them all, because this is where Donald Trump comes in the most. So before I conclude, we need to address this. This is uncomfortable. Misinformation does not come only from anonymous social media accounts, partisan commentators, or foreign government. It can also come from the highest level of our own government. No administration, Republican or Democrat, should automatically be trusted simply because its representative speaks from behind the official seal. You know what I'm talking about. government officials must also show us their evidence. Now, y'all, MAGA folks, y'all believe everything Donald Trump says no matter what. Why is that? Why is that? Do y'all believe he's ever lied to y'all? He's lied quite a bit. We got him up into the 100,000s, I believe. Why do y'all believe this man? The current Trump administration has repeatedly made mistakes that are false, unsupported by available evidence, or exaggerated far beyond what the facts justify. I'm going to give you 6 examples. I'm going to give you 6 examples right here. Number 1, transgender athletes are being presented as a national emergency. I mean, the administration regularly describes transgender participation in women's sports as a widespread threat to women and children. People can have legitimate conversations about eligibility standards. That's fine. Competitive fairness, age division, and how individual sports should establish their rules. But the scale of the issue is routinely exaggerated. In late 2024, the president of the NCAA testified that he knew of fewer than 10, count them on your hand, transgender athletes competing among more than 500,000 NCAA athletes. Fewer than 10 out of more than 500,000, guys. That does not mean every question about fairness disappears, but it certainly does not demonstrate a nationwide invasion of women's sports or a widespread safety threat to American children. That's a lie. When such a statistically rare situation is presented as one of the greatest dangers facing American families, we should ask, why is it receiving more attention than school safety? Why are we talking about that? Fear. They want to scare you. Why are we not talking about childhood poverty? Why are we not talking about healthcare, hunger, teacher shortages, or the mental health crisis that's affecting so many millions of young people? I mean, we got to protect every child, including transgender children, from being bullied, from being humiliated, violence, and from political exploitation. We got to stop all this, guys. They're people too. Number 2, foreign countries do not simply pay our tariffs. Now, President Trump has repeatedly spoken as though China and other foreign countries' government directly pay tariffs into the United States Treasury. That is not how tariffs work. A tariff is collected from the American company importing the product. The company may absorb part of the expense, negotiate a lower price with its supplier, or pass the additional cost to the American consumer. I mean, that final economic burden can be distributed in different ways, but foreign governments do not simply write checks to the United States. If the price of an imported product increases because of a tariff, American families and businesses may pay at least part of that increase. Tariffs may sometimes serve a strategic purpose. There are some good tariffs out there, guys, but Americans deserve an honest explanation of who initially pays them and how the costs may reach consumers. Tariffs are paid by you. We get them. Yeah. Number 3, immigrants are not generally more violent than American-born citizens. Immigrants are not generally more. I mean, this administration frequently highlights terrible crimes committed by undocumented immigrants. They will talk about that. Those crimes are real. I'm not putting anything away, those. And the victims are real. But anyone who commits a violent crime should be held accountable, regardless of their immigration status. We agree? Yeah. But individual cases cannot establish the crime rate of an entire population. Now, when you research the Texas Department of Public Safety, records found that undocumented immigrants had substantially lower felony arrests rates than American-born citizens across violent property and drug offenses. And you get people telling these pundits that all the time. They just glaze over it. They don't say a word.
Americans have more violent crimes than immigrants. But yet, it's a big immigrant problem. Why is it not an American problem? We're doing it too. We're doing it too. All right. I mean that doesn't mean that there are no undocumented immigrants committing a crime. Yes, they do. It means the evidence does not support portraying millions of people collectively as violent criminals. When you evaluate a claim about immigration and crime, do not rely exclusively on the most frightening case shown repeatedly on television. Ask for the total numbers, the population rates, a comparison groups, and original data. I mean, a heartbreaking story. I'm talking about Lake and Riley, that story they use all the time. A heartbreaking story can illustrate a problem, but one story cannot tell us how frequently something occurs across the entire country. Okay? Number 4, DOGE, Elon Musk. I'm so glad I haven't heard that name in a while. Claimed savings were not as reliable as Americans were told. Okay, the Trump administration presented the Department of Government Efficiency, commonly called DOGE, as having saved taxpayers enormous amounts of money. However, journalists and government auditors found serious problems in its public accounting. Reported savings included contracts that had not actually been canceled, contracts that were already ending, inflated values, missing documentation, and expenses counted more than once. I mean, the Government Accountability Office was unable to verify large portions of the claimed savings. Eliminating genuine waste is something Americans across political spectrums can support. We can. But calling something waste does not prove that it was waste. I mean, claiming a savings does not prove that the money was actually saved. So before celebrating this large number, can the calculation be verified, guys? Why just tell us a lie? Why tell us a lie? Was the entire contract value counted even though only part of it would have been spent? I mean, see what I'm saying? Spends. Were the same savings counted more than once? I mean, and did eliminating the program create another expense or consequence? So those were lies. They didn't save us no money like they said. They lied. All right. Number 5. January 6th was not entirely peaceful. And every offender was not an innocent hostage. I talked about this a little bit earlier. Some people came to Washington on January 6th, did not enter the Capitol or assault anyone. That's true. We should distinguish between those peaceful people and people who committed nonviolent or violent offenses and those who committed violence. But we cannot honestly erase what happened. Before the cases ended through presidential clemency, he pardoned everybody. Everybody got out. More than 600 people had been charged with assaulting or interfering with law enforcement officers. 600. Court records, guilty pleas, trial evidence, police testimony, and hours of video documented assaults and property destruction. A president has the constitutional authority to issue pardons. Yes, he does. But a pardon does not rewrite history. It does not make the video disappear. It does not erase a guilty plea. It does not mean the conduct never occurred. I mean, supporting Donald Trump does not require pretending that every person present on January 6th was peaceful. And supporting law enforcement should include the officers who defended the Capitol that day. So, January 6th, guys, that happened. It was not, as they say, it happened. It was peaceful, and no, it was not. If you didn't see it, go back and look. I'm going to show it to you here. So, this is what I've been trying to do with this podcast, guys, is get us to talking more to each other about things I do want us to learn how to research these claims for yourself. I am not asking you to accept things because I say them. I want you to research them. Research me, okay? Research me. But research involves more than typing a question into a search engine and selecting the first result that agrees with you. It's more than that. You got to identify the claim, write down exactly what politicians said, and do not investigate a distorted paraphrase if the original speech or statement is available. And then find the original source. If the claim involves employment or inflation, examine the Better Business Bureau. If it involves federal spending, examine the Government Accountability Office, the Congressional Budget Office, agency inspectors generals, or actual budget documents. If it involves a crime, look at the FBI data, state records, peer review research. If it involves a court case, read the decision or the official court documents. All this stuff is public information, not merely someone's social media summary. Third, check the denominator. If someone says 100 people experience something, ask 100 out of how many? 100 out of 500 is significant. 100 out of 300 million represents something very different. So, fourth, distinguish anecdotes from statistical evidence. A single case may be true and still be extremely rare. You know, politicians will emotionally choose stuff out of context. You know, they just will because it sounds good. But you got to go and read the whole thing. And you got to know when that statistic came about. Was that 10 years ago, 5 years ago? I mean, they're telling you the truth, but they're not telling you the truth as it applies to what it's going on now. And always compare sources, guys. I mean, even if you're conservative, liberal, nonpartisan, compare sources. All the facts should carry. Everybody should be saying the same thing on this from every person. Every political group should be having something right. So, this has been a different podcast, I know, but I just wanted to do a little bit of talking about truth and who benefits from this stuff. Yeah. And I want to also say, when you're looking up stuff to get truth, don't vigorously always go against the party that you hate and look at them. Look at both sides. I'm not telling you that. A falsehood does not become true because it helps your side. It does not. All right, so I wanted to talk about all this stuff today because, in my view, this has been kind of what has been on my mind and what has been in my comments about how we just fight all the time. America is so divided right now. It's so divided. And we have got to start learning how to talk with each other, guys. We got to learn how to talk. We have to. We don't have to agree about everything. I mean, that's unrealistic. And quite frankly, that's kind of unhealthy. But we do need to at least be able to share truth and discuss our differences honestly. And we recognize our emotions are being manipulated, and we must stop allowing people with power, money, and influence to turn us ordinary people against one another. Before you attack another citizen, ask yourself, who benefits from this fight? Who profits from my anger? What important issue am I no longer paying attention to? So, I've got to do better. I want you to do better. And before you pick your battles. Before you want to go into the comments battle with someone over something you know that's true in your heart, You know you're not going to reach them. Save that energy for something else. Understanding does not require agreement. Listening does not require surrendering your principles. And asking questions does not make you disloyal. It makes you an engaged citizen. My mission with this program is to not tell you what to think. It's to encourage all of us to think more carefully, listen more respectfully, and demand better from the people and institutions that influence our country. Because understanding begins with listening. All right? I want us to listen to each other again. Now, I said all that to say, I'm going to give you an example of a guy who is, I call him an ally. I like to play an ally video every week when I'm doing this series that I'm doing. And he's basically calling out his own people. His own people. Now you pick, this is his opinions, but it's polarizing. And I agree with some of the stuff he's saying. But this is a man that's purely going off of his emotions, and he's angry about stuff. And I agree with his anger. Because there comes a time when you have to just like say, man, snap out of it. You're not listening to yourself. You're not listening to what you're saying to people. Figure some stuff out. So he does do a lot of cussing in this, so that's okay. I want you to listen to him, but I thought this was quite polarizing. Let's listen, then we'll come back.
The reason the majority of racists in this country are white males from low-income brackets with low educations, simply put, is that they're pissed off because they couldn't win a race that was literally rigged in their fucking favor, all because they were born straight white males. And if they don't have somebody to blame, eventually they'd have to admit the son of a bitch responsible for most of their fucking problems stares back at them in the mirror every morning. But they'll spend more time obsessing over immigrants, blacks, gays, and DEI than they ever have trying to improve their own fucking lives. I mean, an immigrant didn't blow your paycheck at the bar. A gay couple didn't get your truck repoed. A trans kid didn't make you drop out of high school. A black family didn't keep you from learning a trade, showing up to work, and acting like a decent human being. You did that shit by yourself. So when you're standing there screaming that everybody else is getting special treatment, maybe ask yourself why you're getting fucking lapped by people who had to climb over fences that you never even saw. I mean, you see, racism isn't strength. It's what insecure people wrap themselves in when they don't have accomplishments to brag about. And homophobia isn't toughness. It's fear wearing fucking work boots. And all that DEI whining, it's just another way of saying I'm scared to compete when everybody else finally gets a fair shot. I mean, the fucking hard truth is, if your identity depends upon somebody else staying beneath you, you never stood very fucking tall to begin with. Quit blaming minorities for your misery. Quit blaming LGBTQ plus folks because your life's a fucking train wreck. Quit looking for scapegoats every goddamn election cycle. Just grab a fucking mirror, because that reflection has cost you more opportunities than every immigrant, every pride parade, every DEI program, and every person of color combined.
I like that guy. I like that guy because everything that he said, he's talking to his own people. Y'all can take some of that from that and see what he's saying. I think he had some great truths in there. I think he's giving people some wake up calls, because there's a whole section of people that think just like that he was calling out. That's just my opinion. But I'm glad that he said what he said. And if you heard that, maybe you might be in one of those categories, or maybe not. But I love that guy. So, final piece of the podcast today is I was talking about government loyalty, and one of the things that I said was that this administration is trying to make us think that January 6th was just peaceful protest or something of that nature, but I beg to differ. I like to show this video often if I can, but I want you to show, I'm going to show you, this is the January 6th video, bring it back to your mind, and people that are listening, you can hear the sounds, and you tell me if this was a peaceful protest of just some peaceful folks at the Capitol on January 6th. Here we go.
So we're going to see some of what our witnesses saw on January 6th. Let's see the video, please. But please be advised that it contains graphic images and strong language. which many may find disturbing.
Hey, brother, we're boots on the ground here. We're moving on to Capitol now. I'll give you a boots on the ground update here in a few.
Multiple capital entries. Multiple capital entries. We're still taking metal, sharpened objects, missiles to include bottles and rocks, and hand-thrown chemical-grade fireworks. This is now effectively a riot.
1349 hours declaring it a riot.
Okay, guys, apparently this tip of the spear has entered the Capitol building.
If I give this up, they're going to have to run Dexter. At least this Capitol we can defend. We got to hold what we have.
Your pens off.
Yeah. The fuck?
Take your pens off.
Where the fuck are they?
Crucial 50 has blanked. 1033. I repeat, 1033 was from the Capitol. We've been blanked and we've lost the line.
Lock the shields. Lock them together. Lock them together. We need patriots in the front. Jimmy, get him to the back. Get him to the back. Get him to the back. Let's get some fresh faces up front.
They've got the gallows set upside this Capitol building. It's time to start fucking using them.
Start making a list, put all those names down, and we start hunting them down one by one.
Traitors get guillotined.
Mobilize in your own cities, your own counties, storm your own Capitol buildings, and take down every one of these corrupt motherfuckers. So we fucking need to have 30,000 guns up here. That's true.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thank
All right. Well, that's that, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Let's Talk with Carl E. Long. Until we meet again, have a wonderful day. Bye now.